This short video introduces the trials on the new approach to spoken language as an endorsement to the GCSE English Language. It shows excerpts from 2 teacher meetings and some student reactions. Each main section of the video highlights a key issue raised in the meetings.
To things like Brave, where she's completely cast aside any thoughts of marrying. She doesn't want to marry at all. She just wants to float away with her hair blowing in the wind, firing arrows.
What do you think the different impacts of these portrayals of women in books and films have in society?
I think it makes a really big impact on young girls' lives. They see a film, they think that that's what they should be like. It's the same as magazines, body image.
Well, I'd just like to talk to you about why are people racist. People are racist because they are selfish, you know. Some people are jealous of other people's opportunities which they might be limited to. Some people are jealous about other people's success.
As it comes towards the climax of the novel, really is a bit sort of gruesome. It doesn't go into detail, thankfully, but in some ways that's worse. It leaves your imagination to sort of think what could go on.
As part of their application criteria, teachers were shown students of varying backgrounds and ability. This led to discussion on the different ways students might be able to present their ideas.
Hello, my name is Charlotte and I'm going to be talking about why large retailers are killing off the high street and what we can do about it.
So how does the scouting system work then? Where are the scouts from? How do they find people?
Well, they just turn up to your Sunday League matches, so it's a case of being in the right place at the right time. So I was pretty lucky to get scouted because the team I was playing for weren't the best team, but
the nature of setting up a task for a student like Josh is that the very fact is that he needs some sort of scaffolding in order for him to actually structure his talk. If you were to send him off and say, go away and prepare and give him a sheet that says, you know, talk about this first, talk about this, no matter how passionate a student is, at the end of the day they do still need some sort of prompting, and that I think is perfectly legitimate in that situation.
And in a way he structured. I know that we said that they structured the answers for him, but in his answers he started to structure his own.
The longer answers.
Yeah.
So you see in the newspapers and on these more general think tanks that we're not preparing students for the world of work in terms of their oracy and the literacy. You know, this is an area where we can actually help them in that sense. These interview skills, these presentational skills. I mean, that first presentation for me, in a world of work, when would you go in and do a presentation like that? You probably have something there to refer back to, and I thought that the task of the first one set her up to fail, whereas the task in the second one was functional and aided him in achieving something.
I just think that we should be aiming towards a set of procedures that allows teachers to respond to where their students are starting from, to allow them to show their achievement against the criteria, and that necessarily means that you are flexible about what your definition of a presentation is.
I mean, I can think of students in my school who would have freaked out at the concept of doing that in front of a class, but would have actually pulled their mark up in that format. So I think there's some really nice, it's a nice sort of idea for certain types of students.
In terms of what's a presentation, I think that should be as broad as we can leave it, so that people can make decisions in the best interest of their own candidates.
I think you should be able to speak in big crowds, but also in little crowds.
I think speaking and listening gives you a lot of life skills, like when you go to an interview for a job, you've got the confidence and you're able to get your point across.
Some of the liveliest discussion among teachers centred on language varieties and access for all. Of particular interest were the aspects of regional variation and applying the criteria for those whom English is not their first language.
I was in about year 1 so about 5 or 6, when one of my friends' dads who runs my local football team, just started telling our parents to take your kids. So I nagged my mum and she took me.
Hello guys, my name is Mufaiza and today I'm going to present my presentation about facing challenges in moving new country. Firstly, I'll tell about my feelings when I came in UK first time. When I came, I was 16 years old when I came here, and now I'm 17, so I've been here for 1.5 years ago.
the best speeches from the most interesting people often involve their character and their regional background and words that they use normally, and using formal language isn't necessarily the best practice, and it isn't across life, and I don't know if we should be telling children that where they come from and where they learn their language is wrong.
I think it's as well about teaching students the difference between accent and dialect, and that it's okay to speak standard English in your accent.
The discussion here was that some of us think that it was a fail and some think that it was a pass. I would pass it, and it's because that the two items that are causing us a problem are audible and intelligible, and generally uses appropriate spoken English. I feel that she meets both of them.
Our school, we've had 80 newly arrived children since September. A lot of those joined Key Stage 4 at the end of Key Stage 4. I couldn't risk not entering them for this qualification because I might be accused by Ofsted of being exclusive and not delivering a broad and balanced curriculum in a school that has been associated with Trojan horse activity. You know, I also believe I came into teaching because I wanted to teach qualifications that are inclusive.
I think having an accent does give you a sense of identity, because then everyone will know where you're from.
Because I'm proud of where I'm from, so, you know, people might look down on Stoke and think it's bad or anything like that, but I'm proud of where I'm from and it's my opinion.
Well, our accents are our heritage. They're what we gain from the people who've lived before us.
In addition to looking at assessment, teachers were very keen to talk about some of the issues they will face in submitting evidence of their students' presentations.
If somebody's filming on an iPad and then somebody else is filming with a camcorder and somebody else is filming on a different device, someone mentioned earlier whether that would affect when they're sent off for moderation.
I don't think you can assume that every school's going to have iPads. You know, if you are issued with an iPad, then you're very, very lucky. A lot of schools aren't. And actually, even if you are issued with one, can you actually use it proficiently? So I know I'm really reluctant. In fact, you'd put the fear into me if you told me I had to video all my students.
I just think we should be really careful about assuming that all children and parents would be happy to be filmed as well. I think that's a massive issue, and we can't assume that all will want that.
My context is that I work in a faith school, and I anticipate that there would be far fewer parents than perhaps in other schools actually consenting to their children being filmed.
Because I tried uploading a YouTube video, which was a minute long. It took hours.
And our whole school VLE system just would not be able to cater for that sort of audio data, the volume it would take.
We do actually want people to take this. You know, we want, and if you've got a big school, like we're a big school, so that's going to be what, 400 odd-ish year 11s. You know, that's massive. That's absolutely massive in terms of people uploading and getting it done, and that actually could be a deal breaker. You know,
being filmed would be good, because when I then watch that film, if at all possible, I could take notes about what I did wrong and what I did right.
Not only being in front of the class, but being filmed in front of the class adds to the pressure, because there's people who you've never seen before and they don't know you personally and they're judging you, and that's a worry for some people.
Teachers and students reflect on the importance of spoken language and the need for this endorsement to have the right profile.
I was just going to echo points about the value of speaking and listening. I think every single English teacher agrees that it's central to everything we do. And the lady over there's raised concerns today about the fullness of the GCSE. Finding time within the week to cater for the new specification is proving really difficult.
How are we going to make it so that kids value it, that employers value it, that education values it? Because that zero weighting often means, like, you know, zero significance, and it's how you're going to market it to make sure that it is meaningful. It's not just a waste of the school's time that do it, and, you know, ignoring really important skills for those schools that decide to leave it.
To have the arguments with SLT of why we need extra support or resourcing to do justice to this certificate it feels impossible, because our SLT are so focused on Progress 8, and we have to be as well for the school, for our students, for them to leave with a GCSE that they can stand by and that will serve them. That's where it feels like a really huge challenge.
So make it manageable, raise the profile, and I think we really want to enter everybody, as many as we can for it.
Personally, I prefer to do speaking and listening than anything else, because it gives me an opportunity to express and show people like who I am, and it gives me a voice to say things and get my own viewpoint across.